If somebody tries to get into government, let's say for selfish reasons, that they probably wouldn't last that long?
Okay, so now this is a real story here. We went to court and I actually had to preside over the impeachment of this mayor.
Yeah, that's definitely a surprising turn of events.
And that was to fix one thing that I didn't do well while I was in the military.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me, Sean. The first question I would like to ask you is, what do you do and why do you do it?
Well, what I do is I serve my community. I've been in the Fort Leonard Wood, Waynesville community for since 2010. So you're looking at about 13 years, and I really got embedded in my community. And the first thing that I did was um, just made myself a service to the community. Retired from the military in 2012. I wanted to just kind of take it easy, but once I got into the community, I kind of found myself volunteering for a lot of different things. So as far as what I do for my community, I'm really a servant leader within my community in many different capacities. One of which that I'm serving right now is in public office as the mayor of the city of Waynesville.
There are a lot of people that are interested in getting into local government in order to benefit their communities, but they don't know how to get started. If one of these people were to approach you and ask you for advice, how do I get started? What would you tell them?
Oh, that's a great question. And matter of fact, that's one of the things that I do here in my community. I actually set up a mentor program for those that want to be a part of military government. The first thing I would say is find out where your passion is. What do you want to serve? What are you trying to accomplish? Where do you want to help? Where can you provide the most support for your community? So the first thing is always to find out what your passion is, and then to kind of get lined up with it and start to work in that area. Ask questions, volunteer, whether it be on a local board, whether it's just going to the meetings and learning about local government. You got to participate in the process and get to the point where you really understand the needs of your community so you can better align yourself and your passions up to be most beneficial for the community and also be more fulfilling for yourself.
And what type of characteristics, traits, or maybe experience do you think aligns better with a government type role or a local town, local city government?
I believe that if you the the mindset has to be you want to serve, and I think that's the easiest way about it. Some people go into politics or working within the local government and they have a different focus. I say the proper focus is that you are becoming a servant to the community. It's not necessarily about what you want, it's about what the people want and what the city needs and what where the city is going in the future. So when it comes to really kind of you got to have a passion about what you're doing. Do things for the right reasons and not for promotion. It's really about serving the community. One of the things I liked about what I'm doing here within our community, because it kind of reminded me of my time of being the first sergeant, where you're really just like the senior leader in the organization, but you're the senior servant. You're there to serve other people. I remember I had a Sergeant Major named Sergeant Major Ward, and one of the things that we talked about was how the parking spot in front of the building was not my parking spot. It was so that others would know that I was in the building and they can come and get the help that they need. The same thing with the cell phone. When you're issued that cell phone, it's not for myself, it's for the soldiers. So I kind of look at it the same way in my community. I am here to provide a service to the community and to help them in any capacity that I can. Now, getting into specifics, um, we have flood recovery. We have families that are in need. There's programs that people need to help them pay their electric bills. Many different things that you're there just kind of serving and assisting and helping.
So, would you say that if somebody tries to get into government, let's say for selfish reasons or for the wrong reasons, that they probably wouldn't last that long?
Yeah, if you really want to know in conversation how how I got to where I am right now. I can explain that if you want to know that.
Yeah, would you be able? Yeah, I would like, if possible, if you can get into some of that, that'd be helpful.
Okay, so now this is a real story here. So what happened? So I've been a councilman for approximately 4 years. This was going to be my third term that I was going to run, and this was going to be my last term because I was like, I'm going to do 3 terms, and then I'm going to let someone else come in and and serve the community in that capacity. Well, unbeknownst to me, um, last year our mayor had some issues. He had some issues that was in the news and things along that line about his behavior at work and his aggressive behavior towards some of the citizens. And what took place was there was a censure. A censure means that he's still in a position of mayor, but he cannot function and be the face of the city, which means in the governmental structure every year we have what we call a mayor pro tem. Is there like a vice mayor? And that person is voted by the council who would represent as the vice mayor in the absence of the mayor. So the mayor pro tem would always replace the mayor if he couldn't go to a certain event or if he was out of town or he wanted someone to stand in his behalf. So that's what the vice mayor is. And we know, like in the military, it was our 2IC or our operations sergeant or something along that lines to the first sergeant. So basically that's the position that I was serving in, and he was being censored. So then I ended up being the mayor, the face of the city, even though we had a mayor. We went to court, and I actually had to preside over the impeachment of this mayor. The impeachment took place last, February 2nd was when he was finally impeached. I was still the mayor pro tem, not the mayor, until April. And then I was voted in as the mayor for the city of Waynesville by the council. So I was appointed to fulfill his terms. That individual, that mayor, during his tenure, in my opinion, according to what I know the duties of the mayor are, he was not fulfilling his requirements to the city. And he was doing it for other reasons. He only serviced a portion of the community. He was not a servant to the entire community. And many people didn't even know he was the mayor. And you might find that impossible to believe, but that's what took place. He was not even known by many of the constituents or our residents that he was the mayor.
So in that journey, did you go through the campaign process, or it wasn't really much of a campaign? The city council had to vote you in.
Yeah, that did not require a campaign. When I ran for council, yes, it did. And once people see your efforts and what you do for the community, and most people know me around here as far as what I do for the community. I serve in many different capacities. And I sent you a little bit of information in the bio, but I have earned the trust and the respect of the constituents within the community. But even still in this type of situation, I did not have to. I was appointed to fulfill the unexpired term of the mayor. So the mayor's term is 4 years. We've been going on with this issue with him for about 18 months. So once he was impeached, there was about a year left on that term. My intent is to run for office next April, and then that would start a new 4-year term. And if I win, then I'll be in the seat for 4 years.
Yeah, that's definitely a surprising turn of events. You don't often hear every day that a mayor is getting impeached from his city. Can you take me back a little bit, Sean? With your military career, you did 20 plus years. What's going through your mind as you're putting in your retirement paperwork? What careers, jobs are you thinking about? Or are you thinking about any jobs? What's going through your mind during the retirement process?
During the retirement process, I wanted to be in the field of counseling. I wanted to help out soldiers and their families within that field. And I know soldiers that was redeploying, many people dealing with depression and suicidal ideations and things along that line. I wanted to help out families in that capacity. So what I did was I actually started going to school, and not to mention I was also a local pastor in the community. But I started to go to school for counseling, took a detour for a little bit, and started to work on complete my bachelor's degree. And I want to say I went to a couple of other schools to do graphic design and web development and things like that. And then I went back to school for my master's in clinical mental health, which I completed in 2022. And that's pretty much, that was my heart, was to just help families. That was what was going through my mind. How that all played out, I did not plan it out. It was just kind of like I took advantage of every opportunity that was laid before me. And I really had one goal in mind when I transitioned, and that was to fix one thing that I didn't do well while I was in the military and serving, and I wanted to work on relationships. So I made that my one thing. And what I mean by work on relationships is in the military, you can get by with being in your position of authority and not getting too close to people when you talk about fraternization and things like that. But that was one aspect of my career that I wanted to improve in this next chapter of my life. So I made that my focus, and I really worked on building relationships within the community. And I just took that approach to everything.
How long have you been the mayor of Waynesville?
Well, I've been the mayor of Waynesville since, like I said, it was March, April of this year. I've been actually functioning in the duties of mayor since last year, since last April. And when I say last April, I'm talking 2022.
During that duration of time, last April, what has been one of your biggest challenges that you've had to deal with as mayor?
The biggest challenges as a mayor and any elected position, I believe, is communication, getting information to the people that need it. That is the biggest issue that we have because, of course, you can look at social media. It's a information war. And when we want to put out the truth of what's going on, but you always have those that will speculate about negative things and they get the community in the uproar. We actually have that going on right now. We have a Dollar General that's going in the downtown area. It's a market, Dollar General market. There's one business owner that really hates it. So he keeps putting up these hateful signs and saying that the city is stealing money and people are pocketing money and they're making deals and all this other stuff. And that gets kind of frustrating because you're trying to be forthcoming with all of the information. You present everything, you're transparent, but yet and still you have those issues within your community. For the most part, there's really not a lot of people with that mindset, but it just becomes a deterrent and a nuisance in a sense to our community. And I think if you want to keep a good, healthy community, communication and trust is the biggest, the most important thing, in my opinion.
And when you have people like that, that are basically spreading information that's not true, that's causing a disturbance, are your options pretty much limited? Speaking from the position of a mayor, what are the choices to deal with situations like that?
Well, when you have situations like that, what I do is I just try to put the truth out there. I point them to the source of the documents. I show them where our meeting minutes were, who voted on what. We share all of the information. We don't hide anything. I think that's the best way to attack that without being in a situation where it's going to be unruly. But most people won't say anything to you face to face. They do all of their talking on social media, and that's been my dealings with it. Is most people will say that they may point their finger at me, they may point at someone else, but when you have those types of situations, you can only control what you can control. What I can control is the truth, so I share the truth, and if people don't want to believe it, I just got to let them go about their way and do that, and just continue to be good at what I'm doing.
Yeah, it seems like it can be pretty frustrating at times. So, when it comes to an elected government official, what do you think weighs more, education or experience?
Being an elected government official, I'm going to tell you what weighs more. You didn't give me this option, but I want to throw this out there. Character. Character is what will lead you to, I'm going to say, the promised land. If you have the mindset of being teachable, meaning you must know that you don't know everything. As far as experience, just knowing how to deal with people. I think your character and how you conduct yourself is what takes you the furthest. Because if they don't see that you have integrity, that you're fair, and that you will do the best for them on their behalf, then your experience and your education really doesn't mean anything. So to me, character is like the most important thing. Now, do you need education? Yes. I would never tell anyone that they do not need education. What kind of education? Well, within our city, or in the state, we have a organization called MML. MML is the Missouri Municipal League. And what they do is they provide training for newly elected officials that kind of gives them a broad stroke of everything that they need to know when it comes to the Sunshine Law, when it comes to planning and zoning, when it comes to utilities, finance. There's a lot, how to interact with people with social media, how not to get in trouble. So they train elected officials in that capacity, and then you have to continue to develop and be a student of your craft. That is ongoing. So I just say that as long as you remain teachable, there's no limit to how far you can go. As far as experience from your previous jobs, especially military. I would always tell soldiers that have aspirations for serving the public, and I'm like, the public needs you. Because one of the things that I found out is a very simple thing that people love that I do, and I give them feedback. Like if they call and they ask for something, I call them back and tell them, no, we can't do it, or yes, we can. But they appreciate that because that's not the norm in the civilian world, especially in public office. People don't call back. They don't give them that feedback. And I think giving them the feedback, that's that character coming out again. It's like being consistent, showing that you care in every aspect. I think just being a good person, being teachable, and knowing that you don't know everything, and learning how to work and develop with a team. And that's pretty much everything that you learned while we was in the military, the same type of leadership skills.
Speaking about character, speaking about the military, how do you think the military service helped form you into the man and the leader that you are today?
The military is where I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, about what I could and couldn't do. I'm naturally an introvert. It helped me to work through those things. And when it comes to leadership, I learned young. I was a 21-year-old E5 and being placed in charge of soldiers and as their leader. And I learned how to start to work with people from different backgrounds. I think that's the one thing that really helped me out now and develop is I have a wide array of people that I have worked with. I'm not living in a box. I mean, I can work with anyone. It doesn't matter where they're from, their race, their gender. It doesn't matter. I learned that from the military. You don't get to choose who you live with, but we can all serve together. That type of mentality. The other thing is it helped me to be a better planner. As far as community, how to work together and collaborate with other like-minded individuals, not being intimidated by others who are stronger in one area than I am, but remaining humble enough to say, hey, this person needs to take the lead there. So I want to say in the military, I matured as a leader over time. Of course, 22 years in service and working at different levels of leadership in different capacities, from squad leaders, team leaders to, platoon sergeant, first sergeant, operations sergeant major, a lot of different aspects. It really helped shape me. And I had to understand how to operate in different types of environments. And I say that most people, when they go to the military, they come back changed, regardless if you want to admit it or not. We learn a lot in the military about leadership, about feedback, about planning, and about just about life in general and how to deal with people and their families. So I want to say that's pretty much in a nutshell how the military has helped shape me as a leader, One last thing is mentors. I had mentors while I was in the military that helped me to see where I needed to improve and challenged me to get there. So with all of that encompassing, it helped shape me to be who I am today, to where I want to give back to others as well, and through mentorships.
Do you think that if a person's able, if they're able, should they consider or should they serve at least one term in the military? Why or why not?
When it comes to the military and service, I used to have that mindset that I wanted everyone to serve, but actually, I think that it should be a choice. And the reason why I say this is because I want people to serve the military because they want to. And and I believe that everyone should serve, but just maybe not in the military. Let me give you an example. You could serve in AmeriCorps. That's considered to be a way to give back to your local community, but that's still considered service. I think that we should all serve, but not necessarily the military. Maybe it may be the military, and maybe in some aspects, maybe it may be the AmeriCorps, what we used to know as the Peace Corps, or something along that lines. But I think that we should serve, but I think we should have a choice on what manner that we serve.
Thank you. So you have a lot of leadership experience. I can personally attest to that. When it comes to the topic of leadership, what is, let's say, one of the best pieces of advice you could give somebody when it comes to leadership?
One of the best pieces of advice that I can give when it relates to leadership is to start today. And what I mean by that is you do not have to be an authority to be a leader. And that's a myth. You do not have to be an authority to be a leader. You can start by leading yourself and being disciplined, and then you'll be prepared for the opportunity when it presents itself. And I say that because I experienced this. I have only been in the government when it comes to elected official, because I worked on the park board and I was a park board president as well. But as far as I only been in the elected official seat for 4 years, I was ready for what I'm doing right now. The things that I'm doing now, I was preparing for when the opportunity presented itself when I first got elected. I didn't stop there. I started to look at what the next level is, not in the sense of taking over and being a mayor. That was never my intent. But I wanted to know what they knew, what was supposed to happen. And I started right then to discipline myself and go through courses that taught me what my responsibilities were. And I started to put those things into practice. I wrote policy as a alderman, as a councilman. When I seen a problem, I didn't wait. I started to help to develop a plan, and I fixed those problems. So there's this big push now about emerging leaders, especially with AUSA. They want to push these groups, and that's what an emergent leader does, is they start leading now. They think about it now. They think as the leader or the one that is in charge, no matter where you are. Once you do that, when your opportunity presents itself, you'll be ready to take the lead. You won't have to get ready. You've been preparing for it. And it's like when they call your number to get in that game, you're like, you ain't trying to learn to play then. You need to know to play before you get called in. And that's what I think. That's my main point when it comes to leadership, is to start now.
So prepare yourself for the opportunities that have not yet presented themselves.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So you never know when they're actually going to be here.
No.
So Sean, could you share with us a little bit about some of the goals that you have coming up, maybe the short-term, long-term goals that you see yourself moving towards?
Personally or professionally, like with respect to being, working in city government.
Could you give me one personal and one professional?
Well, personal, I am working on passing my NCE. which is a national counselor's examination, which I got to take here in the next upcoming weeks. And this is so that I can be licensed in the state of Missouri to continue to practice. I'm also completing my EDD in community counseling and marriage and family therapy. So those are like, they're closely tied together. Those are things that I'm doing right now. Professional wise, I'm gonna continue to get better as a mayor, continue to build relationships with external organizations to help bring the resources that's needed to this community, and also build those relationships with those other organizations such as MoDOT, MRPC, Merrimack Regional Planning Commission, MML, Municipal, Missouri Municipal League, build those relationships with those external organizations. So those are my two main goals. Of course, my family's always in there. That's ongoing.
If you're able to, I'm sure you will be, once you attain those certifications, those license, like in the counseling field, what are you hoping to do with that?
Continue to counsel families. Up to this point, what I have been doing is going into the middle schools and teaching kids how to manage their anxiety and help them to kind of make the right choices. So I developed some partnerships with the local principal and helping out in that capacity. So I really want to just help equip families to be successful and learn how to resolve issues, how to effective communication, things along that line. That's what I'm going to continue to do here in my community, whether I am in the seat as mayor or not. Every opportunity that I meet people is an opportunity to share with them either better ways to do things or help them meet their needs at that particular moment.
If you could go back, say when you're 19, 20, 21 years old, if you can go back and talk to the Sean from back then, being who you are now, what would you tell them? What type of words of encouragement or advice would you give that Sean, the 19-year-old Sean?
I would tell him, don't quit. Keep trying. Don't be afraid to fail. I think that's the main thing that I would tell him, is not to quit. Don't be afraid to fail, and try everything.
Well, hey, once again, thank you so much for being here. What is the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to speak with you, if they want to learn more about you? What's the best way people can get in touch with you?
I'm on social media, of course, under Sean Avery Wilson. I also have an organization called Communications Connect. You can connect with us there as well, and you can always inbox me.
Hey, thanks so much for sharing your experience, for spending your time with me. It's been a while since we've talked. I really appreciate your time and everything that you said here today.
Thank you for the opportunity. There's so much more to share, but I really appreciate, just having the opportunity to share this a little bit with you. And also to see how successful you're doing. That makes me happy to see all of the serving with you and knowing your capabilities and seeing you still going forth and being successful and still doing the same thing, helping people, helping others be better. And I think that's that one trait that we both have now as we continue to go on our day-to-day lives, is we're still pouring into other people. So that's just an attestament of the person that you are. So I thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you for those kind words, Sean.